Hey, I wanted to talk about feeling overwhelmed and feeling like life is just too much. And what I realized is that when I feel that way, I'm trying to do things that are not my job. So there are things that are your job, things that are other people's job, and things that are God's job. And when we do things other than our job, we suffer. So that's not to say that you can't have a lot of things on your plate that are your job, but it's a good practice to ask yourself if everything that you're trying to do is actually your job, because many people pleasers mistake things to be their responsibility that aren't. So for example, lots of light workers feel like they have to save the world, or vegans want the whole world to go vegan. And there's nothing wrong with like wanting these things, but if we're putting that kind of pressure on ourselves, we have to see that it really is beyond our control, and that's really God's job. And also, trying to figure life out from your mind is not your job, and that's why it feels frustrating and it doesn't work, because it's not a job to figure things out mentally. And also, trying to control things that cannot be controlled is not your job. And a big one for empaths and people pleasers is that other people's feelings are not your responsibility. So if someone you care about is sad, it's natural to feel sympathy for them, but it doesn't mean you have to be sad with them or try to like force them to not be sad anymore. Because all emotions are valid and you can offer help, but you have to tell yourself that they can handle their own emotions and it's not your job to rescue them from how they feel. So it's challenging to believe that when others can act helpless and like dump their stuff on us and act like, oh, I can't handle this, and you have to do this for me. But this is where boundaries come in, and we have to say like, your emotions are what you have to deal with. And that sounds cruel, even as I'm saying it as someone who's been taught that it's my job to handle everyone else's feelings, but it's not. And we feel overwhelmed by this because we're actually not supposed to be taking responsibility for their feelings. So another thing, if we can feel overwhelmed if we're telling ourselves we're supposed to be different than what we are, or telling ourselves like we're supposed to be like somebody else. And that's overwhelming because maybe we actually can't do the thing that we're telling ourselves we're supposed to be doing. Or, it's overwhelming because that's just not where we're at right now. So a lot of our thought processes can cause us to feel overwhelmed because it's telling us that we're like supposed to be different than we are. So the solution to feeling overwhelmed, I would say, is really just to look at any thought patterns that you have about the things that I mentioned, and then get clear on what exactly is your job. So I think our job is to be present in our lives and listen, and our job is to release resistance and act from the heart as best as you can, and to be authentic and to speak your truth, and to let go of the outcome, to trust life to bring you what you need, to know you are loved as you are. And really what we are responsible for is our thoughts, our emotions, and our boundaries, nobody else's. And a final thing is that we do have spirit guides that are with us all of our lives, and if we're feeling overwhelmed, we can offer up certain questions to them and be open for signs and help. And sometimes help can come in ways that we may not recognize. So I believe that we've been helped all along, and we may not just be like consciously aware of it, but we always have help from the other side. And it is really challenging to feel overwhelmed, but you can sometimes release a lot of the burdens from yourself just by realizing that there were things that you were asking yourself to do, such as figuring things out, or being controlling, or trying to be like somebody else, or trying to handle something for somebody else, that are not your job. You can just say like, it's not my job. You really only have to focus on what you actually have the power to control. So I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.